Okay, hi y'all. It's Dana with Little House of Gardening. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I am using the microphone today, so we will be able to see how that works. But I want to go over some pricing. If you're getting ready to start your homestead, you are homesteading, or you're thinking about homesteading. Um, so to begin, you need to, number one, create your goal. If you've watched my video, create your goal on why you're homesteading. Um, create your goal. So if your goal is to practice self-sufficiency, or your goal is to eat more healthy, make sure you define that goal so that you can know once you hit that goal. And number two, make sure that you put a time span on that goal. Now, for me, our whole goal is to eat healthier, but also to be debt free by 50. That's always been my goal. And so part of that is trying to create some, reduce some overhead costs, because your largest overhead cost is always going to be housing, and typically your second housing, your second overhead cost. That's red. She's fussing. Your second largest overhead cost is going to be food. Um, and so for us, just reducing the cost of food has been important. Also, um, knowing where my food comes from is very important to me. I like to just know that it's not from 4 or 5 countries over. It's nice to know that it's from my backyard. Okay, so let's talk about some things that I wish I would have known when I first started. There are some upfront costs that you might need to sustain your homestead, backyard garden, backyard chickens. Um, One of those things is a water hose. I know that sounds strange. I had a little rinky dinky water hose. The water hose was um it wasn't very durable. It wasn't long enough, so the length mattered. Um and so what we ended up doing was we bought two very long water hoses along with a water hose extender, and I will be showing you guys that here in a second. So you want to make sure that you have a water hose, because if you have let's say you have a half an acre or something, how are you going to clean out your coop? How are you going to water your garden? Just that water source. And I know that sounds strange, but um, I was not about to be barreling water all over the place. And so that was like, okay, we need to fix this. And so we bought two water hoses. One is for the front yard and one is for the back, because I do keep like a small garden in the front also. And then we have an extender which you can move around the property. And so that way, if I need to lengthen it out, if I'm gardening in the back, if I'm cleaning out the coop. Okay, so that was my biggest thing, was like water. Um, the next thing that you want to think about, that I would say is like a hidden cost, um, is going to be lighting. So water and lighting. Where do you want your lights? Do you want to put lights on your crops in your greenhouse? Do you want lights on your path, like pathway lighting? Do you want lights to automatically come on, automatically go off? So lighting was one of those costs that people don't think about, because when we think about homesteading, we think about seeds and we think about um, food and we think about animals, but the property overall, you want to think about how will my property function. Okay, so lighting is going to be very important. And then the next thing is going to be safety. And when I say safety, I am meaning your safety within your parameters. Are there sharp items that could fall out? Um, like not leaving like a tiller. A tiller has sharp ends. You don't want to leave that out, just laying about. Um, what if somebody gets stung? Do you have like a kit in case somebody gets stung? Do you have a kit in case um, somebody has an asthma attack or any of these things? So just making sure that your home set is set for your livelihood and your safety, because you have bee bites, you have snake bites, you have, is it chiggers? You have all different types of things that can happen in the yard, and it's like, okay, these are things also that as I'm walking my space, I'm like, okay, this is something that has to be a thing that every homestead should have. So we do keep a first aid kit actually inside. I need to put one on the outside of the home. We keep a first aid kit, and I do go through every year and we replenish the band-aids, all the ointments, and that sort. And I am trained in CPR and AED training. I get that annually, and I have had to use it. I think it's very important for somebody in the family to know how to use that. So safety, and not only that, safety for your animals, especially in this day and time, which is really strange to say, but mostly they need to be kept safe from other predators. So we get a lot of deer, we get coyotes, and we get fox foxes in this area. They're super cute, but they're not innocent. So that's the crazy part about the foxes. So we did invest in a privacy fence. Um, I honestly think the privacy fence has been one of the best investments that I've ever made, because not only does it keep other predators out, it does keep our chickens in. But then you do have predators of in the sky. So we have seen raccoons try to come down and eat the eggs. I think I just heard one try to get in their coop. And then we get a lot of squirrels. And so you want to keep your property clean. This is where you want to make sure there's no trash laying out. And then you want to try to keep barriers away from the squirrels. The squirrels are a little harder because we have a ton of trees, but they're also a little bit more harmless. Typically, if I do see the squirrels, they're sneaking into my garden more than anything. Along with the rabbits, they're usually in the garden. They're less worried about the chickens. And so just keeping safety in mind. So those are some upfront costs. I would say in today's time, maybe calculate about $200 for like water hoses, um, like a decent water hose. You don't have to get the best at first. Water hoses and at least some form of a first aid kit. I do want to go ahead and flip the camera around so that you guys can see the water hose thing that I'm talking about that we got. That way you can know what I'm referring to. Okay, yeah, so this is the water hose thing that we have. And it's like a really big water hose. I got like a really long one. So as you can see, do you see that it's like an extender on there? And there I can take this water hose off. This water hose thing actually comes out of the ground. It moves. You can pick this up. You can move it. So if I need to go to the back of the garden, I can move it, and then I can take the hose with me. I can take the hose off and use it as a bucket. And that was really, really important for gardening. So that's been super helpful. Okay, let me just see it right there. They're eating the worms. The worms are coming up because the snow melted. The ground is wet now, and the worms are going to be out. It was about 65 the other day, and then it dropped down to 26. So Gotta love the Ohio weather. Okay, so let's talk about setup. So again, we're back to the upfront cost. So when you first buy um, your animals, you don't have to buy chickens. You can buy quail, you can buy goat. I know chickens is all the rave, but for us, I don't eat chicken. I only eat fish. I eat tofu. I eat vegetables. But my family does eat chicken. I do eat eggs. Um, I eat a lot of eggs. Since I stopped eating a lot of other meats. But let's talk about this because I want to talk about your upfront cost. So we paid $40 for this little coop, and we started with that, and then we just stuck with that because they free range. And then later we bought this extender, and we just added tarp over it for when it rains. We just throw the tarp over it. And so what? That's $100, and then they were bought as babies for $3 each. Okay, so we're at what, $109, and then that like stuff like that, that little feeder, and then this little water. That water I got for $1, which is funny, and then this feeder I got for like $10. So a couple of your upfront costs, and they lay every single day. Well, sometimes they do lay 7, but they lay between 5 and 6 days a week. So we get at least 2 eggs per day at a minimum. All right, so I'm back. So yeah, so we get about let's see, 2 days, two eggs per week or per day, sorry. And so we don't eat all those every day, especially sometimes if I'm doing sometimes if they're doing like a sausage biscuit, if they might do no eggs. But in the summer we get a lot of eggs. They kind of stack up. Um because they're not eating them all. So we started with our three. We do not have roosters. So we don't have roosters because in our county, we're not supposed to have roosters, although my neighbor has roosters. So it is what it is. Nobody has reported the neighbor. I'm not reporting the neighbor, but I'm more of a let me just go by what this ordinance says because I don't want to cause a ruckus. So we only have females. Okay. So moving on. So the next thing that is something to think about is food storage. So if you see that can behind me, that is our food storage. At first we were buying I see 50-gallon. I'm doing that because they're 50 pounds, sorry. We were buying 50-pound feeds. And like we had it in the house and we're bringing food out and we're like bringing food back in, and I'm like, this isn't working. Actually, it's cold. I'm gonna put my gloves on. Anyway, so it wasn't working out, and so we needed to go get something for pet food storage, and we keep a very large rock that we just found on the ground on top of it, and it is the lid is sealed. I'm just kind of funny, like, what if a raccoon gets in there? Because we had a neighbor that was kind of nasty. Um, and she brought like a lot of pests with her, and so we had a raccoon issue. Luckily, she's moved, and so we keep that. Okay, so that's another upfront cost. So we're at our lighting, we're at our water hoses, and like your food storage, and where do you want to place your food storage? And we did the price of the chicks. Deciding what you want. If you even want animals, you might not even want animals. You might want food on it. So that's another decision that you have to make. Um, Figuring out if you want a sitting area, and what you want to, how much money you want to put in those, um, into the sitting area. Now I am super frugal. I hold on, let me say this. I'm frugal, but I'm not cheap. There is a difference. I am all about a good deal, but I'm not about to die trying to get a good deal. Anyway, this sitting area, those chairs were $100 each. I got them on sale for $10 each. One day I had just been waiting on them to go down, and one day I was going to one of the kids' sports practices, and lo and behold, there they were. And I told the kids, there is a method to my madness. I got the last four of them. So on your homestead, do you want to enjoy it? So one of the things I notice about preppers, people, human beings in general, is we can overwork and not play. And I am all about enjoying the fruits of my labor. So we do have that sitting area where we will have our fire pit put back out there. And we did move that. It was in the grass, but I keep an area for our cornhole, our what's the other one? Is it horseshoe? I think they like to do horseshoe. Cornhole, and we always play soccer. Now my friend, she's into badminton. I'm not there yet. I will do volleyball. I'm horrible at volleyball, but I still will do it. Um, but she's gonna teach me badminton. So we keep a space for recreational activity. I am not all about this work until the point of exhaustion. I'm about this work for sustainability, and let's enjoy a little bit of our work. And so that being said, make sure that you have a play area, fun area for your homestead, for friends to come over and have a good time. And then the last thing that I just want to put out here was one of the things that we noticed too was you could possibly need some storage. And so we went and got that storage unit. Let me just get closer so you guys can see this little area. So yeah. There is a possibility. Hopefully, you guys are hearing me okay because I'm using this mic, so we'll see what ends up happening. See, let me take it where y'all can see that. Okay. Um. Okay. Yeah. So storage. So we recognize what begins to happen when we started intentionally homesteading, meaning like getting our eggs and getting we began getting our chickens, our eggs, and we started going to farmers markets. Another thing that happened was we naturally began to declutter. And I don't know if that has happened to you. If it is, just drop that in the chat, comment, let me know. We began to notice we had a bunch of stuff we didn't need. But then we had stuff that we did need that we maybe didn't use all the time, like our chick feeders from when they were chickens, like some of my planters that I'm not using all year round. Maybe I use those in the summer. A lot of my gardening tools needed a space. And so it was kind of like getting rid of old things and getting into new things that we're going to be using in this new phase of life. Um, and so you definitely are going to need storage, and I would recommend an outdoor storage. And again, what you're looking at, by the way, is over a 2.5 year span. So don't let anybody tell you you have to do this in one day. What we do is I keep a running whiteboard of items that we might need. And we pick one item per month for the homestead to invest in. And how we decide that is we take our hourly wage and we multiply that by the time that it would take for us to either build it or purchase it. Um, and so if it would take more time, if it's more beneficial for us to purchase an item, we will purchase it. If it's more beneficial for us to build it, we will build it. And let me give you this example. We're getting ready to get an enclosed coop to put everything, all the chicken area in one space because I want the grass to grow out for the summer. So that won't take but about 60 days. I'm pretty good at growing grass. Um, So I think we found a 4x8 coop, um, 6 feet 4 inches tall for $100. Okay, so that's no big deal. It's fire, whatever. Throw some tarp over it. Let's just say you make $10 an hour, and it would take you 10 hours to build that coop. Go pick it up. Go pick up the lumber. And plus, let's say you got to pay for the lumber cost. So let's say it would take you $200 overall. Well, this coop is $100. So in our case, it's cheaper for us to just go and buy a new coop. That just makes no sense to build it from scratch. It's easy. They don't care. Chickens don't care where they live. I might like it pretty. They just really don't care. So it is what it is. They could care less. Now, sometimes I do get into that. I notice a lot of people get into pretty and and looks. That is important. I think where you live is important. However, we have to keep our eye on the goal, and goal is efficiency. Look, efficiency, cost, and looks have to be last. So it has to make sense for the overall end goal. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and I will get off here. It is cold, y'all. So okay, so the last thing I would say is if you are one with, hey, girl, just step on my chicken. So one thing about me, they like to be up under me. I hold them. I come out here. I hang out with them, and they miss me because I was gone. But what are you doing? What you doing? Um, what was I going to say? Oh, I lost my point. If you are homesteading and you have long hair, okay, um, you're gonna have to get something. I have pretty long hair. I actually just recently cut my hair. I generally keep my hair um probably at about a little bit below my shoulders. I have longish hair. Let me rephrase that. For some people, this isn't considered long, but if it's past my ear, it's long for me. So anyway, if you are in gardening or cooking or anything like this is a lot of hair. One of the things that I had to get used to is in the summers is like pulling your hair back and just like some hair protection because I will have a lot of flowers and I do farm sunflowers and I farm a lot of items that attract insects by intention. I do that on purpose because I want to have a healthy environment. And so start looking for ways to pull your hair back. Stuff gets caught in your hair. Um, and you don't want to have a situation. And so just protecting your hair is going to be important and wearing protective sunscreens and protective clothing to where stuff isn't getting into your socks. And so that was like a big one. I had to get adjusted with like um, wearing the socks. I don't really like to wear shoes in the yard, but it's just not a good idea to be out without my shoes on. So finding comfortable shoes, finding stuff for your hair, and you should still look stylish. I like to be comfortable and cute in the garden. And for the men, you can still look stylish. Also, that's okay. Just be mindful because insects, they don't know, they don't mean any harm. And I didn't really have a whole lot of issues. I just had more like bumblebees, maybe landing um, on one of my locks or something like that. But once they realized it wasn't a flower, they were fine. But I have heard stories, right? So, um, so as we transition into the summer, I just wanted to give you guys those tips. Homesteading doesn't not have to be fast, and it doesn't have to be expensive. Please do share what you're working on, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for subscribing.